Hey everybody out there, this is Alabama Deep. I'm coming back at you. Okay, so we have a watch repair video tonight before I have my days off and start getting into other things to finish up for people with their Rolex watches. So we got a bit of a different one for you today. This is for you out there. It has given me a ton of quartz movements to repair as far as in battery placements. And today we're looking at a Frederique Constant. Now, I don't know how many of you out there know about a Frederique Constant. Um, I didn't know too much about them either, not until most recently. But this is what we have here today. This is a genuine Frederique Constant. Now, you would think with such a watch, with a price tag of $1,000, a little bit over, um, that there must be one heck of a movement inside this watch. Well, that's kind of true. It does have a nice movement. It is a Swiss movement, but it is not what you think. Um, and surprisingly enough, we're going to discuss this watch today and your opinions on it. And as we go along, comment below. So this Frederique Constant that we have here that we're looking at, it is gold tone. According to the owner, there's not a bit of gold in this as far as gold plating goes. It's just gold tone itself. It does have a very nice looking dial, very nice looking hands. I have looked at this on the inside and I have Googled it. It takes a 321 battery that I had to order and it came in today, luckily enough. So we're going to be replacing the battery in this. I will also give a shout out in a minute. I'll show you a second Frederique Constant that is being given to me as a gift uh, by the owner of this watch, and to him I can just say thank you. Um, it is a nice watch. I like the way the back is constructed on the one I decided to pick. I like the silver tone. I like the face. I like the fact that it has screws on the back with a gasket. That just touches it perfectly for me. So I can't say thank you enough. This is deeply appreciated, and that watch will be joining my collection, I can assure you. With this particular watch, however, it takes a different battery than the silver one that I decided that I wanted, and we'll be doing a battery replacement video on that one. But let's talk about Frederique Constant. He's been on the market, I don't know for how long, but not terribly too long in comparison to other watch brands out there. So, relatively new on the scene. I've heard misses and I've heard praises. And I don't know fully which it is truly because I'm still trying to figure that out for myself. The Frederique Constant, from what I've been able to ascertain, takes a Ronda movement. Now, this Ronda movement isn't the cheap plastic kind that you see. It's not it's not extremely expensive to buy the movement that's in this watch. It is a nice movement. Um, it's just powered by a battery and not a mainspring. So there are jewels within these movements. It's not the type of quartz that you would get down at Walmart or anything like that, because basically movements like that, part of my language, but in my opinion, is dog shit. Uh, these are different. These have uh, wheels and cogs, and they have pins and they have jewels, and all the making of a good mechanical or automatic watch. It's just this takes a battery to power it and not a mainspring. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. This type of watch, if you need to replace a battery in a Frederique Constant and it doesn't have screws on the back, I can assure you that you will more than likely need a press. The press is the snap on the back, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute when it comes to it. Break out my press for the first time. Taking off the back is relatively easy to do. You can look on the back of the watch and you can see where the tab is to go in on it. And that tab would be right here. You can see there's an indentation that comes down. That's where you need to go ahead and put your tool, and then it's going to be able to pop right off like that. Okay, so here's the movement that's on the inside of it. It's a relatively small movement. It is Ronda, as I have described. We can come in, we can take a little bit closer of a look on this movement to show everybody what we have on the inside of a Frederique Constant. Surprisingly enough, most of the watch people out there will already know this movement and what other watches it goes in. And that is a fairly nice timepiece movement. It is Ronda. And the type of watches that take Ronda, which is quite a few, one of them would be Invicta. And so that has me a little bit confused. You got $1,000+ watch, and it takes the same movement as an Invicta. And I'm like, what? But yeah, truly it does. So looking at this, we do have to look at a few things and decide what we're going to be doing with it. And honestly, I think all we have to do is just go ahead and take the back off, which we have. And now we just need to replace the movement. And in order to do so, it's, of course, very simple to do. Is we can come in here and it should pop up. I'm being very careful. I do not want to scratch that movement at all. It is friction fit, and it's very tight friction fit at that. There we go, and it pops out. So that is gone, that is out. That's all there is to that. Some people want to take and unscrew the arm piece with the lip on it. I do not. I just go at it from the side. Now when I go to put it back in, and it just pops right back in. And there we go. We have a working Frederique Constant. There we go. It has gotten with the program. Now I want to come in here and I want to take a look at this just a little bit. I want to make sure that it snaps into place the way it should. And there we go. It is a working watch once again. Okay, so now that we have that in, hey, that's not a big deal. We've already placed the battery. It pops in, pops out with a little bit of work and knowing where to push the lever at. So you be careful with the lip here and right here. There's a little bit of something coming at it from an angle. You won't even have to take that piece off at all. So perfect. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that that screw on there is tight. So yes, that screw is tight on that lip. But now we have to get the back on. Well, the back, from everything that I've been able to see so far, takes a press. Now, you may not need a press. And again, you may. But you always want to line up when you put the back on any watch. Any watch, you want to find that little indentation, which is right there. That matches up with the winding stem. You want to make sure that indentation is right over that winding stem. And then press on as hard as you can. See, this is a very hard fit. I may not even be able to get it with my hands. See, that wants to go on, but it doesn't because it takes a press. So let's come out just a little bit on that. So we're going to have to literally press this in, which I don't mind doing. I'm going to try one more time, just use my bare hands, but I don't think that's going to work. See, that wants to go on, but no. It's very, very tight. So we're going to have to use a press. So we're going to use a press. Come out a little bit more. Okay, so let's find the proper press pieces to use. I do have my press here that we're going to be using. Now, when we do this, we need to be very careful with what we do. We don't want, I repeat, we do not want to damage this movement in any way. So when we come in, the most important thing I can think of is make sure that this watch, as it sits in the press, you want that edge to line up with this perfectly. Now, I don't know if this is going to do that. We can risk crushing the crystal. So let's take it nice and easy with this, because this may not work. So we're going to try that. That hasn't pressed it in all the way. It does make me just a little bit nervous. So let me examine the press on here. It kind of looks like that's going to be just fine. I guess kind of like beginner's luck on it. But if you look at this, hey, this is a little bit bigger. It does overlap. So we're going to replace this part of it. This dowel has to be replaced. We're going to put one just a hair bit bigger on it. So I'm going to go into my drawer and I'm going to pull out a little bit bigger of a little bit smaller of a dowel. We want one that's not going to be as big. We want one that's going to be just a little bit smaller than that, because the whole objective of this is to fit what we have right here onto this. And I think that's going to work. That's just a hair bit smaller. And you do have to get the press started. There we go. That is on there. We have to line up the edges. Okay, so now we're going to come down. That, once again, that's just a little too big. We want to make sure that what we have is going to work with that. So I need something that's a little bit smaller, it would appear. So let's look at this dowel. Let's go with this one right here. That looks like that may be the right fit. That covers almost all of that plate, the silver plate. And if we look at this, that goes down onto the bezel part. So let's press it down gently. I want to be very careful with this Frederique Constant. It is pressing it down. It is doing its job, but we do have to be very careful. So let's come in here a little bit more. Oh, you hear it pop and you're done. Oh, isn't that scary? Oh my goodness. So that was the back, literally friction fitting, popping back on. It sounds like you just destroyed the whole crystal of the watch, but you didn't. And we have survived. Oh, that always scares me. And that's $1,000 watch that could have been, had its crystal destroyed, and yeah, would have been totally screwed on that for quite some time trying to replace the crystal, but we got it on there. And that is the key to using this press. You can find these presses on eBay. You can find them on Wish.com. You can find them on DHgate. You can find them on AliExpress. They're only about $10 to $12. And they are worth their weight in gold, especially when you're working on a piece that is friction fitted and must pop back on. Okay, I had a friend of mine that actually had a Hamilton, and his watch, he tried to use a pair of pliers to squeeze the back on, and crunch, he destroyed his crystal. It slipped over and just cracked the whole thing. So he has it sitting with me. I got the back on. I need to send it back to him whenever I get a chance. But there we go. Yeah, that is done. It is on there, and that pop is a sure tell way to know that it is on there. And it's the same way with putting on a crystal or putting on a bezel or anything else, and you're using a press like this. It's going to make a god-awful popping noise. You're going to think you destroyed the crystal, but in actuality, it's just the sound of it being pushed back into place the way it's supposed to be. Nothing more. Guys and gals, thank you for watching this short video. It's not as long as the others, but I hope you learned a little something new when it comes to using presses in a watch. Always have the doils to where it lines up close to the edges of the crystal without touching the crystal directly, or you're going to destroy that crystal. You can mess up the dial, mess up the hands, and you're going to have a very expensive replacement fix on your hands. But if you take your time and learn and start mastering this in watchmaking, it'll come out beautiful every time. Just takes a little bit of practice. Like for me, for crystal replacement, I've only done maybe 12 in my entire existence of doing this. And the first couple times I was wondering why it wouldn't go on, and it just took time to practice. So if you're not sure of yourself using a press, get a couple of junkers, replacing the crystal, popping on the back. Do it that way. Experiment. So when it comes time for $1,000+ watch such as this, you will know what you're doing and not destroy it. So I hope I was able to teach you a little bit of things, and I thank you for subscribing. I want you to tell me in comments below, please, what do you think about the Frederique Constant line with their time of being out there? The movements that they use being somewhat the same as Invicta. Just tell me what you think about the watch overall. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch you on a rebound coming up on Tuesday. Please like, share, subscribe. Help me out with YouTube's algorithm. And I will catch everybody in the next video. And thank you for joining me today and taking this journey with me. Bye-bye.